Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is chapter 44 of Chance Ball, and this one is titled Job Go Brrr. Resume's done, you called about an hour later. Seriously? He asked, walking into the study where you had the laptop set up. Yeah, it was easy. Now I just gotta go and print it off and hand it in, you replied. The college has a printer, hey? I'll go and print it off now, and then give it to your potential new boss. You want me to come with? He asked. Doesn't matter, you shrugged. I'll be quick anyway, so if you're bored, then come with, but if not, I'll be back in like 45 minutes. Okay, I'll stay here and chill, he said. But if you need me, call. Yeah, will do, you replied casually as you picked up your phone and pulled the USB from the laptop to take to the library. Bye, babe. See you, sexy, he called as he closed the door behind you. Picking a snappy pace, you walked fast to the school and then printed out the resume for Dabi, keeping one eye on the time as you did so. What time does that corner store close? I don't know if I'll make it in time. You pulled your phone out and Googled their closing time, noting with annoyance that they closed early on a Wednesday, and today was Wednesday. I've got 15 minutes to get there. Resume in hand and USB in your pocket, you quickly turned and ran for the library doors, and then out and down the steps and out the college gates. The more you looked at the time on your phone, the more you panicked, moving faster and faster until you were just one click back from a full sprint, dashing down the streets towards the corner store. Last corner up ahead, you sprinted around it and ran for the store, falling through the doors in the most disorderly fashion. The owner just so happened to be behind the counter when you arrived, and you grinned and puffed as you handed the papers across the counter to him. Resume, you wheezed. Sorry, late. He took it in his hand and flicked through the pages quickly. I'm assuming for a job here? He asked, a little confused by this random panting girl who had fallen into his shop and handed a resume across to him. Yeah. You nodded, still trying to catch your breath. Dabi. The owner had gone back to looking it over and nodded with a smile. Thank you very much. Yin, you panted, fanning yourself and wiping your brow. Thank you, Yin. I'll give you a call soon. Awesome. You puffed, straightening a little. I'll hear from you soon then. Yes, will do, he smiled. You grinned and backed back to the door, and then said one last awkward goodbye and left, heading straight back home. Guess who just got you a job, motherfluffer? You called triumphantly as you entered the house. Let's screw to celebrate, came the reply. You can't, you have studs in your dick that are still trying to heal, you called back. Screw your chicken strips, he hollered, making you laugh. No, but I completely nailed it for you. Now I just got to find a job for myself, you said as you walked into the lounge room to chat with him. You were going to get one at the college as a private volleyball tutor or something, right? He asked, opening his arms for you to snuggle on top of him as he lay on the lounge. Yeah, I'll write up a little flyer thing tonight and post it up at the board tomorrow before class, you said, rubbing your head into his chest like a cat trying to leave its scent. Looks like I'll be taking private lessons then, Dabi said. How much for extras? I am not open for business for sleaze bags, you mumbled into his chest. Come on, $100, $200, I pay well, he leered. What's your rates, baby? My rates are sod off, you horny bastard, you replied, searching for and biting at his nipple through his shirt. Dabi's whole body contracted away from you into the lounge in an attempt to get away while you giggled and chomped on anything you could find. Ah, man, come on, Dabi yelped, trying to fend you off and falling onto the floor in the process. I'll tighten rip the titties off at anyone who tries to proposition me, so don't you even worry, you replied with a smirk. I know I can trust you, he replied with a lopsided grin from the floor. The next day, you purposefully walked to the message board with your little flyer in hand, excited to see if anyone would call the number at the bottom. Reaching up on tippy toes, you pinned it up there before heading off to class. Did you put your flyer up? Dabi asked you at lunch. Yeah, no calls though, he replied sadly. You'll get 'em. You'll be inundated, he replied confidently. How do you know? You scoffed, taking a bite of your sandwich. You're an amazing libero. It'd be stupid not to ask for private lessons from you, he replied. Your heart melted at his sweet comment. He didn't even need to think twice about his answer. He was just that sure. That afternoon after school, you got a call from a number that wasn't saved in your phone and you froze with fear-drenched excitement. What? Dabi asked from the driver's seat as he drove you both home, alternating his gaze between the road, your phone, and then the road again. Someone's calling me, you panicked. Answer it. I don't know who they are. It's probably someone calling about being tutored. Answer it. With a stressed out press of the button, you answered the call, clicking it hurriedly and shoving the phone to your ear. Yes, hello, you fumbled. Is this Yin? The voice on the other end asked. The owner of the voice sounded much older than you were expecting, and it threw you for a second. Yes, you asked. I'd like to congratulate you on getting the job, the voice said, throwing you into utter and complete confusion. Who the Job? Whose job? Job? You asked, trying to still sound polite. Yes, you brought your resume in yesterday evening, so I'm ringing you to let you know that your application has been successful. But I didn't bring a Suddenly it all hit you, and you realised it was the owner of the corner store ringing you about Dabi's resume that you had dropped in yesterday. But why was he calling you? There was a long pause before you continued. Oh, yeah, yes, of course. That's my boyfriend's resume. I dropped it in. You smiled into the receiver. I rang the number on here and you answered. So is this his resume or yours? The owner asked, a little impatiently. Oh, sorry, I must have put my number by mistake, you replied. So, should I tell him he has the job? You were the one who brought the resume in, so I'm offering the job to you, the owner stated. If your boyfriend couldn't even bring his own resume in, then that doesn't say a lot about his work ethic or how keen he is for the job. You glanced at Dabi, who was still half looking at you, half looking at the road, and pulled a face. I guess he has a point, you thought, resigning to the fact. Okay, when would you like me to start? If you could come in tomorrow, I'll show you what's required of you, and then you can start on Saturday. Sure, he replied, looking at Dabi, who was still glancing at you periodically. I have college till 5 p.m, and then I'll come in then straight away. Would 5:30 p.m. be okay? Yes, that's fine, he replied. Thank you very much, Yin. I'll see you tomorrow. Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity, you said again, looking at Dabi, who just gave you a confused look. You hung up and then stared at him for the longest time as he silently alternated between looking at you and then at the road. So, he asked. I just got your job. You what? I got your job. You grinned at him and then burst out laughing. I don't get it, he replied, still hella confused. You know how I took your resume into the corner store yesterday? Yeah, well, the owner just rang me and I got your job, you laughed. Why did you ring you? Dabi asked. Because I accidentally put my contact details on the resume instead of yours, you chuckled. So when do you start my job? Dabi asked, a little amused but a little annoyed that you'd gotten the position that he had applied for. Tomorrow, you replied, seeing that he was slightly annoyed. The owner said he didn't really trust you since you didn't make the effort to take your own resume in, so there's nothing I can say to that. What a dickhead. Dabi pouted childishly. I didn't want the job anyway. Oh, sorry, baby, you cooed, feeling bad for usurping his job. I can help you look for another job. Have you get that one as well? He scoffed. I don't think so. You chuckled sympathetically. Okay, I'll take my flyer down tomorrow since I have a job already, and then I'll be the main breadwinner for the family. You reached out to ruffle his hair, but he yanked it away and scowled at you. Screw you. I'll make more than you. Just wait, he said grumpily as he pulled into the driveway. You smiled at him and then gave him a soft look. I know, baby. I know. The next day at college, you took the flyer down, and after college, you made your way to the store. You'd told Dabi you'd just run there, so he drove home while you went to work. Hi, you greeted the owner 10 minutes earlier for your practice shift. Sorry, I'm early. Never apologise for being early. Only apologise for being late, he stated. Welcome to the store. Thanks, you said with a grin as you stood on the customer side of the counter. Come out the back and I'll show you everything, he said, jerking his head in the direction of the office. You nodded and followed him. For the next 10 minutes, he showed you how to work everything and outlined the usual routines. I have another girl who works here on Monday, Wednesday and Sunday nights. I work the days and do Tuesday and Thursday, Friday and Saturday nights, but I'm happy to give those nights to you. I'll take whatever, he said casually. How many hours did you need me for each night? What time can you be here from college? He asked. I'll say 5:30 just to be safe, he said. Except Saturdays. I can do any time on Saturday because I'm not at college then. I close 9 p.m. on most nights except Thursday, which I close at midnight. Okay, that sounds fine, he replied with a smile. All those days work well for me. Wonderful. Well, if there are no other questions, I'll let you go and I'll see you tomorrow, he said. Please come in at 3 p.m. Yep, 3 p.m. is fine with me, he replied. And I don't have any other questions. Great. Thank you, Yen. We'll see you tomorrow. You nodded and shook his hand and then left for the night, heading straight back home in the dark. Honey, I'm home, you sung, draping yourself against the front door frame as soon as you threw it open. The moneymaker has arrived. Did you rob the till? Dabi asked cheekily from the lounge room. Rude much, he replied, pushing off the frame and closing the door before heading to the lounge room. You flopped down into Dabi's open arms and kissed his nose. I start tomorrow, you said with a smile. 3 p.m. I'll walk you there and back, Dabi said, grabbing your hips and shifting you around in his lap so he could pull you down onto him. I don't know if I want you to walk me there if you're going to be like this. Try and jump me in front of my new boss, you said, trying to pull away, but his teeth sank into your neck. I need to show the man that you're mine. He growled into your skin. He's my boss. He's not trying to get me, you said, pulling your head back and leaning away to escape his grasp, but to no avail. As you leaned back, Dabi leaned into you until you had toppled backwards off the lounge and onto the floor. Now pinned under him, he pushed into you. Dabi, stop! You grunted with a half chuckle, trying to wrestle him off. Down, you horny pitbull. Must screw, he groaned seductively as he kept rolling his hips into yours. As much as you tried to fight him off, there was a stronger part of you that really wanted to take this further, but you knew you couldn't. Do you think it would be okay to do it? You whispered into his ear, finally giving in and pushing up into him. And you can probably imagine what is going to happen, so we have to cut that out. But there seems to be, I should probably just take a second to talk about quirky fanfics. There seems to be, some people find it really easily and some people are struggling to find it. The link, I did have it on YouTube, and unfortunately I've had to take it off YouTube due to YouTube's policies, but I've put it on my Patreon. I do have a Patreon. It's the same name as here, MLB224 Fanfics. I do have a free membership, and then there's a paid membership. Paid membership gives you access to the next chapter a day early. That's all it is. But for the free members, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, my very first post on the Patreon is my Quirky Fanfics link, and that'll take you to this book, which doesn't have anything cut out. So all of these scenes that I've had to cut for YouTube are freely available to read on my Quirky Fanfics website. The site, if you look it up directly, is classified as an 18 plus site because of the content, as you can well imagine, in these books. So it's usually not super accessible to find. Most web browsers have like a safe search built in, so it probably won't come up. It will come up on Patreon, obviously, if you look for my Patreon and scroll down to the very first post. Quirky Fanfics, that's what it is. All one word. But yeah, if you want to get to the book that's got nothing cut out, that's where you'll find it. That's the name of my book site. All of my books are there in written form, and that's where I've kept my collection, and it's my site. No one can take it away from me, which is fantastic because I've had stuff stolen from me before, deleted off Wattpad. So yeah, I'm a little bit paranoid that way. Just got to keep it somewhere where I know it will be safe. But anyway, after that huge rant, sorry about that. Stay tuned for the next chapter coming tomorrow. I'll see you then.